Hey there, welcome to Fire Queen 11. If anyone does drop in, this is not for free readings. This is a first segment diving into a particular topic related to Halloween. The dates back to 1982. Many of you were not alive then, or you were not young, or not very old, not young. Anyway, so this is about the season of the witch. And hello, Natika. Hello, Arushi. And hello, Patsy. Thank you all for showing up. I'm doing a dive into some information on a past. How are you all doing? I didn't return to Tinker BT yesterday because I was having problems with my hands. And it's my thumbs. They were acting up. So it was like I was useless. And I didn't return. So I was going to go back today if I'm doing fine after this, but this is a two-part. How's everyone doing? Hearts back to you, Rishi. This is a two-parter, and what happened was there was a film that was brought out. If any of you know the horror film in America that was known as the franchise Michael Myers, I'm not into horror flicks myself in this day and age of what I currently would call my age, right? And because also I'm ascending, I don't feel I resonate with horror flicks. But there's a lot of nuance in there as far as what they want to hide from us about things, right? So there was this film in 1982 that was supposed to be the third of the franchise, which was Michael Myers. He's known in the Halloween world as one of those characters that the children will get into the costume and go trick-or-treating pretending to be him. And he's a horror-themed character. He's kind of a mistaken boy who turns into a killer, like some kind of boy who he had some kind of tragedy happen to him or something. I don't know. He turns into a serial killer as a little boy. I don't know whether he was like 10 or 11, maybe. I don't know when it started, but the third film was not about him. John Carpenter was the one that directed this film, and it was not about him. They decided to take another turn, and I feel that they did it on purpose. Many people aren't aware that 1982 is actually 11, like if you break it down, right? So the 19 is a 1, and the 8 and the 2 is a 1, so that's an 11. So in some ways, people were unaware of the twin flame thing back then. I have tied together a true situation that I'm unfolding here on this channel. At some point, I'll get to it, but today, this is not about that, but this is what that situation is related to how the devil somehow is in the details with the whole twinning thing. So many people aren't aware of that, but there is a true thing of having your divine counterpart, but not all stories are truly divine. So I'm just saying that there's a mockery. The devil always plays a mockery in some light, in some way. Can we get more thumbs up? We had 5 people here a minute ago, but maybe not everybody is subscribed. But thank you, ladies, for subscribing and for being here and for thumbing up. I appreciate it so much. How is everyone anyway? You're doing well? And business is picking up, Patsy? I have a background TV on. I hope it's not too loud. I put on an old TV show so that I could have background noise. It wouldn't be too quiet around here. I'm going to read about this because the film was adapted after the script, which was from a paperback from 82 by a writer named Dennis Etchison, who also wrote the novelization of Halloween 2, which was part of the franchise, including Michael Myers. However, this sequel did not have any mention of or any involvement with the character known in that complete franchise, known as Michael Myers. He wrote under a pseudonym Jack Martin. The book was reissued in 84. Although Cochran appears to die in the film, the novelization implies that he may have survived with the magic of Stonehenge transporting him away, while the film leaves open the question of whether sєgmє was able to get the third network to pull the deadly silver shamrock ad. The book conclusively states that he failed as the children die screaming. Okay, the concept there is that at the end of the film, I'm doing a spoiler here, that he is the only person on the planet that knows what is about to unfold. And he has children who he's been divorced from his ex-wife, and he does not have custody of his children. He's trying to get on the phone and save them. That's a done deal. She does not look like she's going to let the children be saved. And he has to get to the television networks to pull the plug on the plan that they're putting out on the media. So it's like, if anybody remembers the Pokemon where people were having seizures and things at movies, there were certain things we know about where the screen can create, TV screen, movie screen, can create certain things to happen, epileptic seizures, people can die just by the visual imagery, if not. It's kind of like the men who stare at goats. It's like sorcery used through imagery. Anyway, he was akin to this information in the film, but he had to contact 3 of the news stations and he failed. So what was implied was in 1982, because they actually did the film where it was October 22nd that it was supposed to be released. October 23rd was the day the film started showing up. And one of the locations it was based in was Santa Mira, California, which Santa Mira is the mirror of the devil, which again, I do put a preface to that with the idea of twinning. Okay, so this is kind of like fast forward. Also, the Twin Towers that we know that in 2001 that happened. That was another episode in which the devil was mocking us. Okay, so let me go on with sharing with you a little more of the film. Halloween 3, 1982, Season of the Witch, the 3rd installment in the Halloween series films. It is the first film to be written and directed by Tommy Lee Wallace, John Carpenter, and Deborah Hill, the creators of Halloween and Halloween 2. Return as producers, the film stars Tom Atkins, Stacey Nelkin, and Dan O'Harahili. And I butchered the name, I'm sure. Halloween 3 is the only entry in the series that does not feature the series antagonist Michael Myers. After the film's disappointing reception and box office performance, Michael Myers was brought back 6 years later in Halloween for the return of I almost said Jackson, Michael Myers, 1988, okay? Which makes me wonder, maybe I should look into the releases Michael Jackson put out that year, because there were some serious music releases that year too. In America, they were really trying to push sorcery, and that is why this was a significant film that a lot of people aren't aware of, how it actually was being distributed right before, I think it was before E.T. come out. I think E.T. was a Christmas movie. I'll have to look into that. That was the biggest movie of all time for some time anyway. It got surpassed, I think, at some point. But can everyone hear me okay? Okay, we might only have a couple people listening. Okay, so let me read for you a little bit about this. Okay, it was released the 22nd of October, 1982. It was released running time 99 minutes. The film departs from the slasher genre of the other installments, instead featuring a witchcraft theme with science fiction aspects. John Carpenter and Deborah Hill believe that the Halloween series could have been an anthology series of films that centered around Halloween night, with each sequel containing its own characters, setting the storyline. Director Wallace stated there were many ideas for Halloween-themed films, some of which could have potentially created any number of their own sequels, and the Season of the Witch was meant to be the first. As with this series, other films, suspense and tension are key themes, exploring violence against young children on a budget of $4.6 million. Okay, Halloween 3 made a profit of grossing $14.4 million at the box office in the US, but it was also the poorest performing film in the Halloween series at the time. Most critics gave the film negative reviews, though reevaluating in later years has given Halloween 3 its own reputation as a standalone cult film. It was the last Halloween film distributed by Universal Pictures until 2018 film Halloween 36 years later. Plot: on October 23, the following day after the release, in Northern California, shop owner Harry Grimbridge, clutching a jack-o'-lantern Halloween mask, is pursued by mysterious men in suits. He collapses at the shop of Walter Jones, who calls for help. Harry is taken to the hospital and placed in the care of Dr. Daniel Chalice, an alcoholic doctor who has a strained relationship with his ex-wife and 2 children. Later that night, Harry is murdered by another suited man who immolates himself in his car. After identifying his body, Harry's daughter Ellie meets Daniel to talk about the suspicious events surrounding Harry's death. They decide to investigate and travel to Santa Mira, California, hometown to the Silver Shamrock Novelties Factory, which made the Halloween mask that Harry carried the night of his death. As they check into a motel, Daniel learns that Harry had stayed there in the past. Marge Gutman, another motel customer, discovers a microchip. This is like technology, okay? So this is like 82. Technology was not this advanced then, okay? On the back of the medallion of one of the masks. The medallion emits a deadly energy beam into her mouth as she picks at it curiously with a hairpin. Her face is left mutilated. An insect crawls out of her mouth. Shortly after, men in lab coats take Marge's body away in a silver shamrock van. Daniel overhears the factory technicians describing a misfire to a factory owner, Connell Cochran, while Daniel and Ellie tour the factory. The following morning, Ellie finds her father's car, guarded by more men in suits who stop her from getting closer to it. They attempt to call the authorities as they flee, but Daniel cannot reach anyone outside of town by phone. Ellie is kidnapped and taken to the factory. Daniel follows and is captured by the men in suits, revealed to be androids Cochran created. That is like AI. Okay, so you know how you've seen like the Borgs that we see running around in Boston technology, all these different kinds of technical creators that create like AI droids, if you will, mannequins that seem lifelike. That is, all this was segueing in this particular piece prior, way prior. This was 82. Cochrane locks a mask-clad Daniel in a room and explains his plan to resurrect ancient rituals from his native Celtic lands, sacrificing children at Samhain, the pagan celebration of the coming winter. Daniel escapes his bonds and rescues Ellie. He speaks into the control room, activates the commercial on the screens, and pours a box of medallions from a ceiling rafter, killing everyone. The Stonehenge remnants kills Cochrane, and a massive fire destroys the factory. As they flee, Daniel is attacked by Ellie, who is actually an android replacement, which he destroys after a struggle and car crash. He flees on foot to Walter's shop and frantically contacts television networks, attempting to stop the commercial broadcast. He succeeds with 2 networks, but seemingly fails with a third, despite screaming into the telephone, pleading with them to stop. Okay. So, I'm not going to go too far into this, but I'm going to tell you that I did go into gematria. I did research this in gematria. And gematria is where you get the actual resonance, where frequency matches. And I titled it. And one of the top listings here that matched it was Ghislaine Maxwell. Anyone recall the story with her and Jeffrey Epstein and the island? You see, there is a connection there too. And she's known to be a witch, along with one of the women who is still running around. And I don't recollect her name right now, but she was also one. I'm not going to make this a very long portion. The reading on this is going to be coming afterwards. I really want to just kind of get to how it all makes sense, how it all fits together. Another word, another title that resonates is the Matrix Resurrections. So yeah, our actual reality that we're in, relating to how sorcery, source code, the Matrix all connect. It does here. It does. They relate. The words, they come together. It also comes with the Holy Spirit rapture. And I'm not going to do a whole lot of them. Those were in Jewish, Hebrew, if you will. The number would have been for the resonance would be 1465. And now in 1140, we have Aleister Crowley. He was supposed to be like the most evil man. He called himself the most evil man, I guess, of all time or on the planet. And so he resonates with this too. It's almost like it was part of his plan and it was played out for him. And then we have, of course, as you see titled here, The Truth Rises. And that is what I'm trying to bring out here. Forever immortal, that as well. I'm going to go down the line and just bring out a couple more if they are to shine for me. Well, I don't know, this could mean for somebody something. I have not really studied up on this. I absconded with my research on it some time back, but somebody may be able to school me on it. The Anunnaki returned without the. Anunnaki returned. That is another one. So the Anunnaki could have something to do with this. And I absconded, as I said, on that research because there's just so many veins of research out there. And quite honestly, anything to deal with scriptures, I started to feel hit and misses. Like, how much can we really believe? How much has been adulterated? How much is true? How much are they twisting and contorting now? Even the Emeralds of Thoth, there are so many things that I have absconded on my own, ferreting out information on that have to do with, say, Bible, mythology, things like this, because they do twist, contort everything they can. Okay, now, as far as my playlists go over here on this channel, I created 1982 today. There is The Last Unicorn in 82 that come out. Now, anyone who has seen the film with Tom Cruise, that was later made. That is the same concept. It is based on a unicorn that's being hunted down because it's pure. Much relation to Jesus Christ, right? The Dark Crystal, another prolific film put out in 82. These films all tie together in their own way, but I'll let you find out more about them if you should choose to. They're on the playlist. The next was The Flight of Dragons, The Four Magic Brothers, which it has to do with sorcery and dragons, okay? And they're each coded by color, but it is actually elements. And it is the dark sorcerer that would like to flood the world with darkness, with dark sorcery. Tron. Okay, now this is going down the rabbit hole a little differently, but because the sorcery has something to do with Stonehenge, it's kind of relating, okay? You have to kind of bend your mind and kind of like really think outside the box, though. Tron is going into a machine in 82. This was a very big Disney film. And Tron went into a machine much like Neo went into the Matrix. We are all here in the Matrix. So sorcery, our existence here in the Matrix, it's not the be all end all of who we are, what we're about, right? And we know that because we're spirit, we're flesh, we know that, right? So you'll need to look at these videos and just kind of piece together what you can from them yourself, and then I will tell you what it is I feel I've learned from this, but I'm not going to go down that vein too much. That can later be brought in, but the Dark Crystal is another, one about factions of darkness trying to take over the planet, trying to take over all lives, trying to control, contort, puppeteer the world like a devil would do, right? Okay, and so the Tron system was the same, locking them into a game. Okay, and then E.T. Project Bluebeam is coming out. It has been out. They've done a lot of trickery with this, where people have sightings of this, that, and the other that are not real. They think it is. They're using technology. Okay, so many of you are aware of this. With the idea of aliens coming and visiting us, this is them playing with us, doing mental play on us, okay? Trying to steal from us the truth, trying to subjugate us understanding truth, right? So if we see like a fantasy projected by a blue being, we'll believe in that fantasy. A lot of people do, okay? Not to say that there is not true stardust beings, which we all should carry within us. Not to say there's not true. It's all been interplanetary. It has not been out there. It's all been in here. Everything is like with us. It's inside the shell, the core of this planet. And yes, there is stardust out there. There's a lot more to things than they want us to know, though. There's a lot that they've contorted. They use people to help with being authors, filmmakers, musicians. So they make a lot of non-factual films, and I'll let you look into this yourself if you don't believe me. It's fine. You don't have to believe me. I'm going to look for some music from '82. I accidentally said Michael Jackson's name, so I want to find out what songs he put out that year. He put out Thriller. That was the year he put out Thriller. That was his biggest, I think, album of all time. He also had Human Nature. Many people may not have heard Human Nature. Very good song. Good idea to listen to it. Hello there, Seeker 7. How are you doing? Human Nature is really good. Actually, the whole Thriller record is good. I'm one of those people who is more into the B-sides, or the records that don't get, the songs that don't get noticed as much. So I invite you to go listen to Thriller if you get the opportunity, and listen to the things that are on there that are not Thriller. So I thought The Wall, but The Wall came out before that. So I'm going to see what the top songs were from '82. They may relate. Then we're going to go back into some of this talk on. Now, Chalice is a goblet. Chalice, his name, the lead character, his last name is Chalice with 2 L's, I believe. So it's spelled differently and an S, but it's still nonetheless Chalice. So it makes you think of, the chalice, the goblet of Christ, the blood of Christ, something like this, right? So I'm feeling The Human Nature by Michael Jackson. Yes. And there's a lot of good songs on there. So if you've not heard Thriller, might be a nice time to get kind of familiar with some old Michael Jackson music. But with the equinox just passing that we just went through, we are now in I cannot say it. It's the witch, Samhain. Samhain? If Carrie were here, I could ask her how to say it. She'd show me how to. Anyway, the songs of '82. Olivia Newton-John did Physical. Eye of the Tiger was out by Survivor. I think it might have been the Year of the Tiger that year. No, it might have been the Year of the Dog. And anybody that's curious how the dog is actually cohesive to any kind of like sorcery, it is because a lot of people denote dog as a parallel to God, backwards. It is God, right? So to bring down, say, the spiritual, the creator, right? God would be to do something in that year. So 7 and God are usually very synonymous. Jay Giles' band did Centerfold. Human League come out with Don't You Want Me. Some of these songs are not so important. I have heard rumor that the CIA was behind the song Soft Cell, Tainted Love, and I'm not doubting it at all. If anybody knows Evangelist Chariots of Fire is a reference to the angels. Okay, Vangelis. That song is a beautiful masterpiece. If you get a chance to hear it, you might want to hear it. It's all music. Okay, so let me just tell you. The quest for, say, a mockery on twin flames would be to harden and destroy a heart, to have distrust, to put malice into the heart, to have a nature of low vibration, to not bring love forth, to not heal, to want to have debauchery. The centerfold, is an idea, the idea of not really having love, just say sex for sake of sex, right? Flesh fantasy. That was one of the songs, Flesh for Fantasy, around that time. Not having a core, like love at the core, right? Okay. So Quarter Flash, very good band from my area. She was a teacher. She became a singer. In the 82 year, she did a song called Harden My Heart. The same year, for E.T., Neil Diamond, who was previously a singer for years back, come out with Turn on Your Heart Light for the E.T. score for the film, E.T.'s theme song. Turn on Your Heart Light was about E.T. reminding Elliot and all of the people that met E.T. that the heart was important. So what we got from an alien in that film was the heart needed to be turned on. So there was a dualistic thing going in 82. The whole twin thing was actually being opened in 82. Most don't see it, the dark twin and the light twin. So I don't know how you want to see this, because your philosophy could change this, whatever way you believe, your religion, right? But some might say like Jesus versus devil, this kind of thing, right? Because the heart, also Angel Michael resonates with the heart, okay? So Quarter Flash sang Harden My Heart and then Heart Light come out from Neil Diamond. Same year, I believe, were both tunes. That year, let me see here. I'm going through the list real quick. I can't play them for you, obviously. Okay, this is a perfect one to tell you, okay? If anybody is familiar with Alan Parsons' Project, this song followed me around that whole year. I was a girl, okay? When this came out, it was on the top of the charts for a good long time. This song is powerful because the eye in the sky references Horus in Egyptian speak, but it is also, back then, we took popsicle sticks and yarn and we created what were God's eyes. So when you were brought up to believe in, say, God in the Christian world, you would think of him up in the sky. You would think that he's watching you from the sky. The song here from Alan Parsons' Project came out in 82, and it's called The Eye in the Sky. And it's a very good and prolific, powerful song you might want to hear. I just want to make sure there's nothing I did not miss. Okay, you all know that we've gotten to the place where if you're a chosen one, which most people who are on the light side are considered a chosen one, if you're part of the light side of things, right? Well, we have been, that there is a term called the Watchers, and they've been doing this to us our entire lives, but we may not have been aware of this. Okay, so now it's become pretty common to know that, yeah, we have people who are monitoring spirits that keep an eye on us. And because they do, it's through factions of sorcery that they're doing this. It's not, and so it's insects and humans and animals too. And so like say you have an uncoveted animal that comes into your realm. Say a stray animal shows up at your door. It could be a monitoring animal. I'm not trying to put fear in anybody, but bugs. And I want to share with you something that has happened in the last week. I personally have been under attack, as some of you know this, and it was my twin of the dark nature, okay? When I say that, I'm not speaking of skin tone or, I'm speaking of he has an attachment, okay? I did not look for him to come into my life. It happened, and it was not obviously at the right time. Yes, I am a married woman. I still was then. So it was not the right time. And it was all wrong. Everything was incorrect. Wrong timing, not divine timing. Okay. Devil play, if you will. Okay. So let me explain to you. So this woman that I get readings from for Sagittarius energy, she goes by Nikki Boo. I'm only sharing this here. I've even removed the channels mostly that I subscribe to over at Tinker, because I don't want people sought out who give messages to me. If I am being hunted, I don't want anybody attached to me to be hunted. That's me protecting the other readers. It's not me being somebody who is trying to be like, oh, I'm going to keep them from everybody. So that's why I'm telling you, she's a good reader. So if you have Sagittarius in your chart, you may want to hear her. She's very good. She also reads for others, but mostly she zeroes in on Sagittarius. And she goes by Nikki Boo. Anyway, she was reading last week. I want to say it was Monday or Tuesday last week. I was listening to her reading. She had a fly show up in the reading. I haven't had flies in my house for like 2 weeks. I had one get in the screen. I let it get caught, and I just shut the door on it, hoping that it would leave. But I knew that it was probably a monitoring spirit. I've been trying to keep them away. I have had trouble with some ants. We've been trying to keep them at bay. They mostly go away. But other than that, in this where I live, it's been a problem for like most places, but I could have monitoring spirits that are ants. I could. But flies are generally what they choose, these people that use these with their sorcery. Anyways, she got this fly in her video, and it was on Sagittarius, and it kept going around her little statues, around her cards. It literally went into her mouth. At the time that that happened, I was watching it. My guides told me that it wanted to possess her. I'm not joking. This is what happened. This is true story. Anyway, I told her this, and I was concerned for her, but I'm glad that she got it out of her. That it wanted to possess her, and you know why it did? Because myself and others who would listen to her videos will pay attention to her for guidance. They want to puppeteer anything anyone that we want to listen to will say. So they're trying to control even those of us who speak to others for guidance, for light. So Nikki was under attack, and I felt so awful because I felt like, what if it was me who that was intended for and that put her in? So that's why I decided to strip myself of the channels that were on TKBT. And another thing, there are a lot of low level readers out there, and I don't know who's who. I can tell you that if somebody feels like I don't resonate with them, I will not listen to them. I will say that. And I'm very, very selective as to who I will listen to, so I'll say that. But sometimes I erroneously do press a button and I play for people I've not heard, and I give them a chance to show their salt. If they seem like they are the wrong ilk into what my team tells me I need to be hearing, I will leave. Vamos, I'm gone, right? But I have to tell you that you can't judge, readers unless you have a vile feeling about them. You can't judge them like right away. Sometimes messengers we're repelled to because we don't want to hear the truth. So sometimes it's like it's a slippery slope. Sometimes you have to give them a chance because yes, they might say something you don't want to hear, but maybe you need to hear it. So for instance, I was hearing kind of, dealing with my healing issues. I was hearing something from somebody who was doing a pick-a pile, and I was like, I wanted to back out of there. I was like, I don't want to hear it. Most of the time, I am right when I do a pick-a pile, most every time. And I told myself, why are you trying to back out? My higher self was talking to me. Why are you trying to back out? You need to hear this. So I stayed. Then it was something about me that I was like, that part about yourself that you're repelled to. You're like, you have to face it, and you know that you have to take more time to refine something about yourself that you still need work. And you're just like, I know. It's like that ego part of self wants to say, no, I don't want to pay attention. But then you have to humble yourself, and you have to say, no, that needs work. I need to keep on edging into that area. That area needs a lot of work. And if I don't do it, the rest of it's going to fail. Everything needs to work together. Kind of like planting a garden. If you don't have the soil right, if you don't have the sun and the water right, you're not going to have the garden. You're not going to have the beauty, right? So you have to do it all. You can't just say, okay, so this was not a real big deal, but it was enough that I needed to pay attention to it. Let's just say that's why I'm here, and I'm being honest. It's what I do. And on Fire Queen 11, I have less of an audience, but maybe the ones that really need to hear what I'm saying need to hear what I'm saying. So anyway, so sometimes when you do feel a repellent towards a reader, if you should go to a reading online, maybe there is something there for you anyway. But if the reader always gives you a sick, uneasy feeling, and there's always things that don't resonate, then that is not the reader for you. And just let me say that we all have bad days. You've obviously heard me go through it. I've been under attack. So you've obviously heard me have my bad days. And thank you. I do appreciate you for sticking with me, knowing that I full well am trying to work my way through all of this. But I'm going to say this. We each have to find pieces of ourselves that are somehow in each of the readings that we're directed to, because we are being directed by our higher selves to get something from it. Okay, so now this reading, that I'm going to do, is going to be about the 1982 connection of sorcery in the film. Now, I'm going to give you a little spoiler about what happens if you've never seen the film. I don't think it's available free right now online. It could be on Netflix or something. If you have one of these services, it could be, because Halloween's coming in. But there are androids, and the masks are put on the person who would be the host. Now, they're not really turning into zombies. It's kind of a weird, it's like snakes and spiders, which is what people fear mostly, right? That's what people fear a lot, right? They come out of the mask, and they somehow are beamed in through technology. So that chip that is in the mask beams them in through the technology from the mask, and it will go into the eye sockets, the nostrils, and the mouth. Because if you're in a mask, you're basically in a case with your head. So really, it just does kill them. I don't know if there was supposed to be anything outside of that. It just kills the children. So there'll be no more children. It's like Children's Inn. There was a film, a book, Childhood's Inn, Children's Inn, something like this. I think it's supposed to be the idea of the end, right? Just ending. Because there's no hope if there's no children, right? And ultimately, I thought that it was about like possession. I don't think it is. I don't think so. They wanted to run the planet with AI. I think the idea was to copy each individual into a droid. So that would be the AI world we're in now. So that's where that would parallel. We have Elon Musk wanting to fit us with these things in the head, whatever they call those things, I keep forgetting. And they really want to mimic us. They really want to create. And there are people who may have gone to Ancestry.com and sent in the saliva, whatever it was they did on the swab. They could have clones running around. I'm not trying to scare anybody. You went to the doctor's office at any time in modern day. You could have a clone. You could have several of them. You wouldn't know. They could be droids. They could actually be humans. In 1982, while I was doing research for that year, it was the first year that they did the first twin birth of in vitro, or what do you call it? Well, they're not like naturally created. It was like I can't think of the term that they used. Well, anyway, so it was like a scientifically created twinning. This was not like the woman getting impregnated by her husband. This was, they went into a doctor. The doctors used science, and then they created the babies, and the twins were being born in 82. That is out there too. That story's out there. And so, yes, twinning was a big story that started in 82. So let me get back to some of the reading I was going to do for you, not with the cards. That's the next. Okay, so the other films that come out that year. This is a mixed up list. Okay, this is related to the Nephilim, is what I think they tried to insinuate. The Beast Within. It come out, I think, in January, if I recollect. Ronnie Cox was a real popular actor of the time he starred in it. They insinuated that it has like a mythology edge to it with horror. Okay, they insinuated the wife and mother in this family was doing housework. I saw this as a little girl. She was doing housework, and somehow this entity wearing a human suit come from outer space, and they reference him to be like the Nephilim or something like this, and he raped her. Okay, I raped her. Okay, so she would create a hybrid. So she would carry a hybrid. So it was a horror film that came out that same year. The same year that come out, Android. Klaus Kinski, a well-known actor, director, put out a film called Android. So as you can see, and a couple other movies were put out, Amityville 2, The Possession. So what I'm trying to tell you is that they were trying to give us symbols. This goes back to Stonehenge, okay? And so the sorcery is where this all comes from. They were trying to rise an antiquity period back to Earth. So I don't know how much more I can add to this because they have taken some things offline that I previously wanted to share. Like about 2 years ago, I was going to go through this and share, and things have changed online quite a bit. Okay, so in a nutshell, the sorcery started to really build up from that year until now. Everything is now becoming pretty commonly known to us about what they can do with this stuff. So I feel that this Halloween, Red October is what they consider to be October. I think this is going to be a very telling Halloween this year. It is the end of the Red Dragon. This is the dragon year. It is the end of the Red Dragon. It's supposed to be the White Dragon. There was a dream that was mentioned in Gospel Dream World, and I don't remember by who, but they said that the White Dragon would be the victor. In Chinese astrology, this is the end. According to Chinese astrology, this is the end of the calendar sequence. Also, there are a few other things that would denote this being the end. So this is the end of the era. So by the either December or the first week of February, the end of the era will occur. I think the first week of February because our calendars were messed up. And so I'm not even remembering right now what the, let me see if I can look up February. Because October, you know something, I think that February is the 11th month. And that's why on the zodiac wheel, it is 11. If I can remember correctly, I think so. Yeah, because then 12 would be Capricorn. And that makes quite a lot of sense. So anyway, I am going to read on the past, the future, the details, and what was the motive about putting that film out and how it relates to the devil, because the devil was not mentioned at all. Now, some people say the devil is actually a man-made concept. That may be true and well, I don't know. Everyone has their own belief, okay? It could be similar to, if anybody saw Chaos on Netflix with K-A-O-S, with the mythology basis of all the gods, right? Anybody saw that? The Minotaur was not born with horns. He was created this way. So he'd be this fierce monster that could kill. He had a evilness to him that could just kill anybody without thinking. He was an animalistic human. Anyways, so the point I'm trying to make is the Minotaur was not actually where, if you watch the documentary back in the 80s, 90s that I watched, they kind of gave us an idea that they used like a woman and they had her actually have sex with an actual creature to create the Minotaur. They kind of give you that kind of idea. They did salacious kind of like feeding to people watching things because they wanted to engross us with things that were not probably the way it went, which did not make sense anyway. You would think that a woman, if she was to be with a man in that way that was a non-man, that she would be ripped apart. And I would think so. How would she live to even give birth to a child, you know? So that did not make any sense. So yeah, they created this Minotaur to look like a Minotaur, something that would be more like a bull. But it was a bipedal human, right? So I'm not trying to do a spoiler for you if I'm not saying Chaos. It's a good show. Go watch it. It's black comedy though, so it's not really like all drama. It is very graphic and bothersome in ways, but sometimes you have to kind of push through to, you know, get things right. Anyways, that being said, they were trying to open our eyes in 82, and they've been slowly doing this process of getting us to where we are. A lot of people are very provincial still. They don't want to believe that the envelope has been pushed this way, that way, and every which way. The world is what we make it. We don't have to let them have control. We don't, okay? As a matter of fact, I feel right now we're on the precipice of fighting this dark war. And that's what I'm trying to say. We cut the strings that the devil thinks that he uses, whatever the devil may be. Okay, whether it's a sorcerer in a hat, you know, whoever the devil thinks they are, whoever the one or ones are behind this, we cut the strings and we are not puppeteered anymore. We have control. We take control for ourselves as groups, as humanity. We are more powerful than they think. They know we are, okay, that we have angelic qualities within us. We have a lot more in us than they want us to realize. So that being said, so I think what I'm just trying to do is open the eyes that this year they're going to play a lot of tricks on us, okay? This year, right now, it's the beginning. After the 22nd, after we had the equinox hit, it is now the beginning of the final chapter, the final curtain. So they're wanting to play things to a certain level that they want to control. So if they control our minds, if they make us believe in the fear, the illusions, Blue Beam, Project Blue Beam, any illusions they put out, they have control. We don't want them to have that. So cut the strings. Let's get full control. Let's get full wisdom, and let's just embrace our divinity within. That is what the message is here. I'm putting this out here because this is the backbone of what they're doing now. 1982, if it did not happen. I'm stumbling over my words. They're trying to stop me from telling you this. If these films, these songs, this stuff in 1982 did not occur right now, would not be as powerful as it is. That was a pivotal time. Again, 11 was the year when it broke down. So the next time that it would be so significant to see that number so powerful on the world stage would be 2001, you know, where people really weren't noticing the twinning then. 2001 is actually 1111 because 2 is in Roman numerals 2. If you use Roman numerals, you can see everything. You also have to dissect things and look at things like in different ways to really know what they're trying to hide in plain sight. And so they're trying to force different doctrines on us. If we can just strip away what they force and look at things throughout. Okay, I think I'm getting over. I'm going to leave this here. So I'm going to talk to anybody that's around. If anyone's here, hello. And I am, I think I'm doing this too early in the morning. It's probably my problem. So I think I'm going to leave it there as far as the breakdown of the film and the year. The idea, did anyone see the film? And they turn it into a cult film. And if you don't already know, cult films are generally the places where you get the nuggets. If you're looking for information that is that in the comic books, and a lot of you know this from the comic book movies that are popular. Okay. I am going to thank you for the likes. I am going to do a separate reading. This is just going to be on the film Season of the Witch, 1982. Can you give me an idea what the intent was behind this film? Season of the Witch, 1982, the intention John Carpenter and team had with that film, please and thank you, Spirit. Okay, we have Sagittarius, we have Virgo, the Hermit, we have Mars, we have Leo, we have the Sun. It's double Leo. Mars is like bloodlust. Virgo is like, I think I recollect, they consider that in astrology the mother, like Jesus's mother, if you will. And then Sagittarius, that could be the one of the horses of the apocalypse, like setting it loose. Can you tell me more, please? And that was in October 22nd. That would have been, I believe, Libra at that time, right? Let me find out. I'm terrible at remembering some of these dates. You saw it. Didn't you think it was funny in the day that it come out that it would be no Michael Myers? I thought it was so weird. Not that I would, I mean, I wasn't like, I kind of rolled with the punches, you know, I wasn't like against it, but this is the most bizarre thing. Okay, I typed in October 22nd, astrology, and I got Cancer, and I don't know why, and now it's in Greek. So I'm wondering if there's something that's being revealed here that I don't even recognize. Why would I, with that date, get Cancer? So strange. Okay. They let AI take control of the browser that I have been used to using. So I wonder if they're trying to do something here. Yeah, Libra is actually October 22nd. So we have Virgo and Libra here. Scorpio is when Halloween happens. You know what's funny is Scorpio is the only thing missing because it goes right to Sagittarius, like a void. That's what they wanted. They wanted a void. Oh, that's what I forgot to include in this. 22 is also the major arcana of the Fool, the void, 0 point. And they wanted to do time travel to bring the, that it's 0 point. So the twins, ushering in the dark and the light twins that would usher in the void, the Fool era, the Fool's journey. It was surprising. And you know what? What I found is really compelling about it was that I was wondering, because it's almost like as a kid, I knew that there had to be another one in the franchise like they said there would be. But because of money, they didn't go back to it. And I'm curious what would have unfolded if they'd done that. And in another timeline, they might have done the other franchise, which might have told us a whole lot more. I'm not one for the slasher kind of films anyway. So as thought-provoking and irritating as this may be to the psyche, I would say that it was a better story than the slasher one, in my opinion. For one thing, I think that those horror films ushered in a lot of criminals that we have walking around the planet. The saga of people who do things that we hear on the news. I think it's a lot worse because of films like Michael Myers and Texas Chainsaw Massacre and what are the other ones? Jason, the Friday the 13th sequence that they put out. So the major arcana, the Fool. Let me see if I can read up on that real quick. Because it's also known as 0, but it's the 22nd as well. Now, I'm going to read this from the Fool, because this is what the 22nd would invoke, the Fool. The Fool is the 78 cards in the tarot deck. It's one of the 78 cards in the tarot deck. In tarot cards reading, it is one of the 22 major arcana, sometimes numbered as 0, the first, or 22, the last. However, in decks designed for playing traditional tarot card games, it is typically unnumbered, as it is not one of the 21 trump cards, and instead serves a unique purpose by itself. In many esoteric systems of tarot card interpretation, the Fool is interpreted as the protagonist of a story, and the major arcana are the path the Fool takes through the great mysteries of life. This path is known traditionally in cartomancy as the Fool's Journey, and is frequently used to introduce the meaning of major arcana cards for beginners. And oddly enough, according to A.E. Waite's 1910 book, which 1910 is another 11. 19 is a 1 and 1 is 1. It's another 11 here. The pictorial key to the tarot, the Fool card, is associated with folly, mania, extravagance, intoxication, delirium, frenzy, bewrayment, if the card is reversed, negligence, absence, distribution, carelessness, apathy, nullify, and vanity. Or nullity, excuse me. In history, the Fool is almost always unnumbered. There are a few exceptions. Some old decks, including the 15th century Sola Busca, labeled the card with 0. An 18th century Belgian decks labeled the Fool as 22, XX11. The Fool is almost always completely apart from the sequence of trumps. In the historic decks, still, there is historic precedence for regarding it as the lowest trump and as the highest trump. Traditionally, the major arcana in tarot cards are numbered with Roman numerals. The Fool's number with the 0, one of the Arabic numerals. The Fool may be the precursor of the Joker. And you know how they're capitalizing on the Joker with DC. Is it Marvel or DC? So there is a parallel there. And that would not be ushered in now. And I know the Joker was created way before 1982 because I grew up on the Batman series, and the comic books were obviously around before the show came out with Adam. Can't think of his last name now. Who played Batman in the way back campy days on television. However, the Joker more likely evolved independently in the 1850s as a permanent, my kitties are scaring me to you know where, as a permanent trump specifically for the game of euchre, like Eucharist, like the bread of, West. Thank you, Adam West. How could I forget that? Okay. So that being said, it kind of gives us an idea what they were intending with that year, because it was a Fool's Journey. It was the beginning of something they were pursuing, a much bigger. So it all kind of connects. If you go and look at the videos that are all connected, that year was pretty telling. I may have to study a little more on the music put out that year, being on the fly, so I may add them to that list if anybody wants to keep an eye on that. You can also conclude, if you were around in that year, you would maybe have a better idea yourself what was popular that year. But as I said, Alan Parsons Project, very prolific in the state of 1982. Also, I don't know if it was Murray Head put out One Night in Bangkok. Very telling then too, because of the chessboard. He may have done it that year. It might have been the same year also that Stevie Wonder and Paul McCartney did Ebony and Ivory. And it was about people living in a way together that they have different skin tones, love, kindness, camaraderie. Look where we are now. What did the devil do? He won. The devil has done what he wanted to do. We have such division. We had a plan in 82 going in that there would not be division, there would be unity, that people would love each other despite differences, that it was like the end of the hippie world, but people still wanted to love each other. But the horror films seemed to bring out this other side where the devil would pull the strings and people let them have their way. And a lot of people fell for it, and that's where we are, and they're still doing it to us. So we have to understand that the division that they put out has been propaganda. They've been using it as a tool against us. If we don't love each other despite differences, then we're going to fail. And they will then replace us with Android versions of us. That is the plan. And they could also inject us with, say, non-organic matter that would be CGI based. That could then make us like droids, and we would seem like flesh still, but we would still be operated like almost like we're computer pieces. Do we want to be organic or do we want to be operated? I don't want to be a puppet. I don't know how anybody here feels. I don't want to be a puppet. That's a beautiful song too, by the way. I love that song. And if anyone has a chance to listen to Paul McCartney, because Patsy, I know that you like Beatles. I think you do because you like older music. But if you get a chance to hear him with Wings, with his late wife, Linda McCartney, that was one of the best bands. They have some really prolific songs, and it was Wings. He called the band and Wings, segueing it kind of, or kind of referencing it to the Angels, right? The Angels along for the ride, and the music's very powerful. And Beatles was actually, I think, an homage to Egypt, the scarab. I feel that more and more, the longer I go, I feel that they did kind of, but there was a Crowley kind of connection between them, and there was a lot to do with some of these other things I'm not going to go into right now, where music was related to other stuff. But I think that McCartney and Wings was a positive, uplifting band itself, I believe, but I could be wrong. Okay, so where we are now is at the 1 hour mark. To make this easier to follow, I'm going to do segment 2. I'm going to conclude this stream and then open a new stream on this channel. And it's going to occur in just a few minutes, because it'll take me a few minutes just to throw it together and get it going. And then we're going to just do some asking. I will clean up the background noise a little bit if it's too noisy. Let me know if you think it's too loud. I had to have some because people walking by can maybe hear me. I don't want people knowing that I'm doing this. I live in an area where they're not as open-minded about this kind of thing anyway. You know the band. Okay. Patsy, how is everything going in the bakery? Have you new menu items? I was thinking that you must have come up with something new. I was kind of sensing it. Is anybody having a lot more vivid dreams lately too? I've had broken sleep lately, and I think it's because after that event with the lady that I talked about that got the fly in her mouth, I haven't been sleeping like I was, and it could be because I know that they're trying to monitor me when I'm sleeping. This has been a wonderful practice, and as you can see, one of those loves to eat. Well, I'm so glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, I hear something outside. I think people go through my dumpster out there. It's too early for them to be here. They're supposed to be here today, but this is way early. It's not a dumpster. It's actually a garbage canister. But the big dump truck comes, and I think somebody's out into our canisters. Hi, how are you? You boost back your boost back your color. I can't even say. You're so cute. Did you hear something out there? Does anybody know an idea of how I can clear air without an air cleaner? My husband's breathing has gotten so bad, and he keeps turning off the air cleaner because he says he's cold, and I need to get his air clear, and he keeps turning it off, and that's when I hear him hacking the worst. You don't hear him hacking because he's gone right now, but it's kind of picked up for him. I would have him do the fennel seeds, but he won't. He kind of objects to things that are good for him. You're sleeping okay. More flies though. You got monitoring spirits. Seeker 7. Maybe you should sage if you have any kind of, or you can get Florida water or something. I don't know if they're repelled to that. You know what? They also have repelling monitoring spirit frequencies if you played it on your TV, if you have a smart TV, or if you have a way to play it on your machine, you could get them to leave. Patsy says, not yet, still on progress for the new menu because I need to buy some new utensils and have to wait on the delivery. Oh, okay. Have you gotten to know your delivery people? Yeah, the flies are awful this time of year, especially if the weather's changing for you. But monitoring, somehow they know how to, they use their magic to cast some kind of a connection to these little creatures. And it's just disgusting to think about the things. I mean, I felt so bad for her. What did you find, babies? Okay, I'll find out what that is. Hold on. Is that a piece of paper? Oh, okay. You don't need to eat it. It's a little bit. You have to wait. You have to wait a little bit. Okay? A little bit. They hunted out a label that he had in his chair. That's funny. Okay. I'm going to pull out some oracles for whoever wants them while we're on here on this particular stream, because some of them might be useful. I don't want to get the energy all messed up, so let me do a number dice. 5. So we got Leo energy showing up on the dice, and I'm going to count the 5th cards in this oracle deck. Time for a nap. So that is something that's going to be good for me later, but anybody here who's tired may at some time want to take a nap. If you're not tired now, may later today, maybe take a nap. It's 24, so it reduces to 6. There is a moon here, and yeah, if you've been getting poor sleep, maybe a nap would be nice. I know I will like to have one too. No, yes, I know some of them, delivery man, but I don't really have any further interactions with them, only for business. Observer. Patsy, I think that they're going to bring business to you. I think that's why I'm asking. I kind of feel that word of mouth is going to be people who observe how you carry your business, that you come across like the Empress, because when we read for you, you do come across as really together. I think that you're going to have a lot of people talking about your business pretty soon. I really am feeling that last reading that we did. Soulmates. Somebody is close to meeting a soulmate, or they're broadening their relationship with a soulmate. Somebody is a heavy thinker. 44. Oh, the number for soulmates is 41, which is 5, which resonates with what we're being told to count to. For observer, that would be somebody like watching, like you in business, would be 13, which would be 4. They're observing your structure. And thinker is 8. Oh yeah, that's the reason why. That's right. The end of the year, I think November, that's when the karma is done. The karma with Saturn in the reverse. So yeah, I might have to ask questions on that too. I'm going to ask about the twinning, and I'm going to ask about facets in the story and the connection from 82 to now. I'm going to ask these questions when I do that. I hear you, baby. I'm being paged. He's telling me he wants me to come in there and feed him now. It's like, it's time for dinner, time for breakfast. Buy the book. This is the 11th card. We have elephants in the desert leading each other. Buy the book. Doing something by the book, by the rules. Fork in the road. Number 13. This is another 4. This is structure. I think it's a llama. I think any of these animals could resonate with anybody. We have a huge, like, 3-leaf clover that is in the sky, and a fairy is trying to grab it and take a ride with it. Number 18, which is 9. Some kind of ending. But that is luck. It's like 9 is kind of like, it can also be like the 9 of coins. It can be getting to that place of success. You're like touching success. You're getting there. Not for you. Number 6. So they have a fortune cookie here, and it's on a chessboard. It's in the middle of the chessboard, and you can't get in there to crack it to get the fortune, but it's supposed to not be for you. So this is kind of like saying that if you crack it open, you might discover that the fortune is not going to like be something that you really look forward to. It isn't going to be uplifting. So you don't want to crack open that fortune cookie. It could change the dynamics of the board you have laid out. So say you're playing chess and you maneuvering your paths a certain way. You might ruin something by opening that fortune cookie. And they also say their rejection is God's protection, something like this. So if something's not for you, just let it be. It's the way it's supposed to be. Everything is supposed to be. Don't force anything. If anything feels forced, then it isn't natural. Alega, 34, 7, God's number. Spiritual, high spiritual number. Sometimes I'm a bit hopeless about my romantic life, but now I'm releasing that and being in que sera sera mode. You're making me hear the song in my mind now. It will when it will be. It be. I'm trying to remember the words. That was the song they had for Heathers. If you saw Heathers. New life. New life. Card number 39, which is 12, which is 3. A magical number. What is this new life? Can you tell me more? Okay, this is Libra or Sagittarius, Saturn, or Moon. And this is 18. This is the mystery of the moon, the full moon. So anybody who's considering what's next, what's coming, what's around the bend, what's the next chapter, there's so much mystery. There is a new life to explore. It's coming. So if you've been laying the groundwork to get something going, I would say right around the bend, you'll be figuring out things during Libra season, and maybe following into Sagittarius season, you should see something revealed to you. Relating to maybe your yang energy or somebody in yang. It may be also the end of chaos and conflict for you. 33 energy. Okay, I'm going to I'm going to stay at this channel. I'm going to go to the second segment on here. So this live stream will end, a new one will begin. And I'm going to read up on the season of the witch and the intentions behind it and how it parallels to right now. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming in. And I look forward to seeing you on the next stream if you'll join me. I might be able to, towards the end of that reading, answer questions. You know, if you have a question to ask after I get through with that, that is something we could do afterwards. So don't be hesitant to ask if you'd like to ask one when you're there. But I hope everyone's doing well. And I do want to go to Tinker BT later. I may have a nap between them. You're welcome, Seeker 7. Thank you for being present, for being part of both the collectives that we have here. Thanks so much. And thank you, Patsy. And I don't know if we still have anyone else here, but thank you, Arushi and Antika, for showing up too. Thank you, everyone, for the thumbs up, the love, the care, and the support. I appreciate it. Okay, I'll be back soon.